we will also send an email to the American government, and we will repeat these demands in the email. Now, what were those demands? The demands were that the Pakistani Muslim prisoners in Guantanamo Bay Jail must be released. At the end of the email, he wrote that if their demands were not met immediately, not only would they kill Daniel, but they would also oppose the visit of any other American journalist to Pakistan, and anyone else who came would also be captured. This was a very big threat. They also released a picture. They released a picture to the American government in which Daniel Pearl was seen handcuffed. However, from the copy of Dawn newspaper he was holding in his hand, it felt as though the picture had been taken forcibly. His hair was combed, which sent a message that he was normal. But along with that, the way his eyes were blinking made it look out of focus, and the lower part of his face near the chin was swollen, swelling was visible on it. This made it appear that Daniel Pearl had been subjected to torture. However, in a book by the American Bernard Henry Levy, who killed Daniel Pearl, he wrote, "I looked at this picture closely and analyzed it. The complexion of Daniel's face was yellow. There was paleness on his face which indicated that he had certainly been tortured or he had been drugged. His hair had been cut and styled, but it had become shorter. The hair he had when he was kidnapped was long, but it was cut later." Another thing written by the author of the book is that the picture was taken without his glasses. He wasn't wearing glasses. They had taken his glasses from him. What the purpose was behind cutting his hair short, or why his face looked the way it did, or why there was swelling on the lower part of his face. All these matters were done for specific purposes by these trained kidnappers. The American intellectual also wrote that from his face, it appeared he was not being given proper food. There was a lack of food and weakness was visible on his face. However, it was later revealed through research that Daniel went on a hunger strike for 2 days, a hunger strike in the custody of those kidnappers. The reason was that one day, his guards were talking to each other and said, "Give him an injection." Daniel thought that this injection was meant to make him unconscious so they could kill him. He feared they might put poison in his food through the injection. So he insisted, "First, my guard will eat this food, you people who are standing here. You eat it first and then I will eat." He became fearful. Out of this fear, he went on a hunger strike for 2 days. This hunger strike, which lasted for 2 days, could also be the reason why weakness and a lack of food were visible on his face. Anyway, the American intellectual raised 4 or 5 questions, including the fact that he went on a hunger strike for 2 days, which was later proven, causing weakness to be visible on his face. All this was done just to compel the American government, the Pakistani government, and the Pakistani administration, signaling, "We will go to extremes with Daniel Pearl if you do not accept our demands." Now, the story of his widow Marion, who also wrote a book after the tragic murder of her husband, Marion Pearl writes, "My information is, and the guards who were later arrested also confessed that when they took him to the toilet." Here, a story comes to light from his wife. Daniel made 2 or 3 attempts to escape. Once when his handcuffs were opened and he went to the toilet, he tried to escape through the window, but the guards were very alert and they foiled his attempt. As a punishment, they tied him to the engine of a car. These guards also used to walk him, and during a walk, Daniel Pearl tried to run away again. A dying man will do anything when he is in fear. However, later, analysts wrote that he was not fully convinced he would be killed. He used to remain cheerful. But for the time being, when he started to run during the walk, the guards came and pointed a gun at him, silencing him. Once, a vegetable vendor outside called out and Daniel heard him. This is all on record, their video exists. Hearing the vegetable vendor, he shouted, "I am a kidnap victim, I am being kept here." He did this to draw attention, hoping the vegetable vendor, being a human being, would hear him, since he heard no other voices inside except during walks. So they tried to choke him, put a hand over his mouth, warned him not to open his mouth, and placed the barrel of the gun against his temple. In this way, they intimidated him, warning him not to make noise and to keep quiet, otherwise they would kill him. All these matters continued with him until the end. There was a religious organization, and a person from that organization shared my name, Naeem. A man named Naeem, who used to bring food, was later found by the police to be wanted in many cases. He was wanted in cases involving sectarian violence that were happening in those days. Many incidents had occurred back-to-back from Gilgit to Karachi and Parachinar to Khyber. He was wanted by the police in those cases, but who knew that he was tasked with bringing food for Daniel Pearl? On the day of the kidnapping, January 23, 2002, the motorcycles and a car that were tailing them also included this man named Naeem. Tailing the car in which Daniel was sitting were 3 or 4 bikes and a car. So these men, including Naeem, stayed with him until the end. The act of murder is even more horrific and grave. During the trial, when sentences were announced, it was revealed that Naeem, along with 7 guards, 7 bodyguards and guards, making 8 including himself, remained deployed over Daniel and kept coming and going. He also knew English and used to converse with him in English. He also used to intimidate him. This person frightened Daniel the most. He was an established criminal. How Daniel Pearl, the American journalist, was kidnapped, that we have told you. But how he was killed and the kind of torture he was subjected to before being put to death is an even more dangerous story. What happened was that one day Daniel was sleeping in a slumber when there was a knock. A man came inside. He thought it was the same man who came to wake him up in the morning, Karim. But this was not Karim. Seeing this man named Karim, he was surprised and wondered who had come today. The man told him, "Get up." He got up, put on his boots, and started tying his laces. While he was tying his laces, the man told him, "Don't tie these laces." Daniel asked, "Why?" He replied, "Because where you are about to go now, you won't need them." If you're interested in my stories, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so I can keep making more of these for you.